Hollywood has a problem with cheating. For 50 years, the industry has quietly decided that infidelity is the cleanest way to show someone growing. Trapped wife meets stranger, man finds himself, camera cheers, audience follows. The result is a genre that treats betrayal as a personal breakthrough and a marriage as the thing that you have to escape to become yourself. 5 mistakes keep showing up. Here they are. And most importantly, here's why that matters. For the first one, we have to go back to one of the most popular movies in history. Rose is at dinner on the Titanic. She's engaged to Cal. Cal is sitting next to her, holding court about art, correcting her in front of his friends, smiling at her like a purchase he hasn't fully unboxed yet. He orders the lamb for her without asking. Later, in private, when Rose reminds him that she's his fiancé, not some foreman he can command, he flips a table and tells her he is a man, and he expects to be honored as such. By the time Jack walks into the picture, we're already leaning forward in our seats. We don't need to be sold on Rose leaving. The film has done all of that work for us. And that's the easy version. Make the husband monstrous, make him controlling and cold. Now any exit feels like liberation, and we're cheering for the affair before it's even started. Can you really blame that one? I'll get back on it shortly. The harder version is Bridges of Madison County. Francesca's husband Richard is not a cruel man. He's a decent Iowa farmer who loves his kids and has no idea his wife is lonely. The film doesn't need to make him bad, it just needs to make him boring. A man who didn't do anything wrong except exist in the shape of her everyday life. And we still root for her. We still want her to walk out that door in the rain. A guy who's been steady for 20 years of marriage, and we've decided within 40 minutes that leaving him is the brave choice. Both of those films are running the same play. Their partner has to be written just flawed enough that we stop defending them. Loud flaws or quiet ones, it works the same. A scripted excuse for the exit. Now, time to get back to the Cal question. Cal is awful, and Rose should swim. So I'm saying it's totally justified in this situation. But notice how often the man who gets cheated on is coded so we feel nothing when he loses. We don't get to meet him before he's already disposable. His whole function is to be the weight the protagonist drops. When it's the other way around, a man cheats leaving a woman behind, it's often much different, which I'll get back on later. First, we have to see what it looks like when a movie doesn't make anyone outright terrible. Marriage Story is that movie, and it won't let anyone off the hook. Charlie and Nicole both get full, complicated humanity. Charlie is selfish in ways he doesn't fully see. Nicole has been shrinking herself for years. The film refuses to name a villain because there isn't one. And when you let both people be real, the exit is no longer some fantasy, but more or less a loss for both. Most romantic films won't do that. They need us on one side, so they quietly rig the partner out of the race before the starting gun. The partner gets written just flawed enough to be disposable. Once they are, the affair stops looking like betrayal. But a rigged partner isn't always enough on its own. Infidelity is still a betrayal, and audiences know it. So the film reaches for another lever. The easiest one it keeps reaching for is destiny.
This kind of certainty comes but just once in a lifetime.
That's Robert Kincaid in Bridges of Madison County. He says it to Francesca. She says nothing, but we already know she believes him. And the film wants us to believe him too. That one line is the reason she betrays her husband. This one specific stranger, this one specific moment, and the idea that love on this scale arrives so rarely that refusing it would be the actual betrayal. How convenient. If a love this big only comes once, then cheating is not infidelity. Oh no, cheating is honoring the biggest thing that ever happened to you. The affair gets rebranded as a sacred obligation. The marriage becomes the wrong timeline. You can't let a chance like that slip away. You've seen this trick so many times, you stopped noticing it. It's everywhere in Titanic. Rose and Jack are in love for about 3 days. 3. Rose is 100 years old when she drops a priceless necklace into the Atlantic to honor what he meant to her. A century later, and the film is still telling us one night in a steerage cabin was the great love of her life. The sinking ship gives destiny a deadline. Time compresses the whole thing into myth. And we buy it. The film never lets us ask if what she had with Jack was real love or a panicked escape with a stranger she knew for 72 hours. Destiny framing removes that question. And once a film removes it, everything that comes after the affair becomes a price worth paying. It doesn't always have to be this way. One recent film gave itself the full Destiny toolkit and refused to use it for the affair. Celine's song built past lives around a Korean word, inyeon. It basically means, well, destiny. Layers of connection gathered across lifetimes. Nora tells her husband early that two strangers brushing past each other on the street is a minor inyan. Marriage, she says, means 8,000 layers of inyan across 8,000 lifetimes. So the film gives itself the full destiny toolkit. Two sweethearts separated at 12, reunited as adults in New York. Everything needed for the cheating version of this story. And then, in the bar, Nora looks at the man she has loved since she was a child. She tells him there was something between them in a past life.
근데 우린 이번 생에는 서로에게 그런 사람이 될 인연은 아닌 거야.
But in this life, her 8,000 layers are with Arthur, the husband she came home to. Past Lives uses inyan as an argument for the marriage. Nora chooses her husband in the exact language the genre usually reserves for the affair. They did that perfectly. What I hate to see is when films use destiny as the shortcut. Just hand the audience a cosmic reason to root for the affair, and the harder question underneath never gets asked. That's the second mistake. But even with destiny framing, something else has to happen. The affair has to actually feel good, dangerous, something the marriage could never give. Which brings us to where these films take the affair itself. Typically, somewhere the rules don't apply. Romy is in a hotel room. She runs a robotics company and has a husband and 2 kids at home. The young man with her is a mid-20s intern from her office, and the room itself is doing half the work of the affair, because none of the rest of her life can reach her in it. Baby girl understands this. The whole film is built around the geography of cheating. Romy's marriage happens in a New York apartment. Her career happens in a New York office. The affair happens in hotels, because the affair cannot happen anywhere else. This is the third mistake. Cheating in these films almost never happens in the actual texture of everyday life. It happens in an elsewhere. A hotel, a farmhouse in Iowa when the family is away at a state fair. Somewhere the rules the marriage lives inside cannot see. You know this move. You've seen it in every adultery film ever made. So many times that the setup reads as romantic on its own. The genius of the escape zone is that it does the ethical work for the characters. If the affair happens in the family kitchen, you'd see the kids' backpacks on the floor. You'd see the laundry her husband did last Tuesday. The film would have to work a lot harder to make you root for any of it. But take the affair to a hotel, and all that disappears. You get to forget the life on the other side of the door, because the door is closed. Important to note that this is not me saying infidelity only happens in hotel rooms in real life. People cheat in their own homes all the time. These films almost never write it that way. They quietly ship the affair off to a location where the audience cannot feel the weight of what is being betrayed. The bedroom where Larry confronts Anna about the affair is their bedroom, the one they share. We're talking about the movie Closer from 2004, by the way, forgot to mention that. Every affair in that film happens inside the spaces the characters live in. When Dan tells Alice he's been with another woman, they're in their own apartment.
I'm going.
I'm sorry.
Irrelevant. What are you sorry for?
And the conversation is long and impossible to look away from. When Anna's marriage falls apart, it falls apart in the bedroom where she has been sleeping with her husband.
Are you leaving me?
The film feels completely different because of it. Instead of romantic remove, you get 2 people in the same house working out whether anything they have is still real. I'm not sure if you'll agree with me that cheating, given another place to live, is the third mistake, but I know you'll agree with me on this next one. Or the last one that is even worse. But for that, we have to understand the fourth one first. You'll understand the fourth mistake with a single question. What happens after the affair? In Bridges of Madison County, Richard never finds out. Francesca goes back to him, lives the next decades of her life, and dies without telling him. The secret is safe. The marriage continues. She even asks in her will to have her ashes scattered at the bridge where she first met Robert. The film treats that as beautiful, as though the unknowing husband was spared, as though the affair was honored without costing anybody anything. Richard loved his wife. His wife loved another man for 4 days and spent a lifetime quietly grieving. He dies and the camera thinks it worked out. There is research on this. In 2019, a study of young adults who had been cheated on found that 45% of them showed symptoms of probable PTSD in the aftermath. Dr. Shirley Glass, who spent decades researching affair recovery, described the experience experience of being cheated on as closer to the shock of a death than to the pain of a fight. It is a category of harm the body does not easily metabolize. Infidelity research consistently finds that betrayed partners carry symptoms long after the marriage is over. And these films treat the aftermath of cheating like a plot detail. It's not, and it shouldn't be. It's everywhere though. Like, take Something Borrowed. Rachel takes her best friend's fiancé, and the film ends with her getting him. Darcy, the discarded friend, is punished by being turned into a cautionary tale and then handed her own ending for closure. There's no sitting with the friendship that just ended or the grief in any way, shape, or form. The film wants us to move on because the right couple finally got together. Luckily, there are ways to do it right. In HBO's 2021 Scenes from a Marriage, Mira has an affair with a younger colleague and leaves her husband Jonathan for him. The show does not skip the aftermath. The aftermath is basically the show. 5 hours of them trying to co-parent and failing, sleeping together again years later while both are in new relationships, unable to stop affecting each other's lives. The affair keeps returning again and again for the rest of the run. Whatever happened in the affair took a month. Whatever it left behind keeps arriving for years. So the fourth mistake is films selling the affair, then let the consequences dissolve. The betrayed partner is dispatched off screen or handed a tiny new arc. The betrayer gets a new life, and the audience is allowed to leave feeling like it worked out. And the way filmmakers handle each betrayer differently, that is the worst part about romanticizing cheating. Every cheating film in this video has the same protagonist at its center. Francesca in Bridges, Romy in Baby Girl, Connie in Unfaithful, Anna in Closer, Rachel in Something Borrowed, the wife. The woman in the slightly joyless marriage who meets somebody and finally gets to feel like a person again. There's a reason for that. Cheating as awakening is one of the most female-coded story engines in modern romantic drama. When a man cheats in a Hollywood movie, he is usually a cautionary tale or a villain. Think Cal Hockley. Think almost any 90s infidelity thriller where the cheating man is the thing the film is warning us about. His cheating is a flaw, something he does to his wife. When a woman cheats, the camera treats it as a spiritual event. Her cheating is something that happens to her, something self-discovery related. Watch how Adrian Lyne built Unfaithful. He cast Diane Lane opposite Richard Gere, specifically because he wanted the marriage to look good. The house is comfortable, the husband adores his kid. Lyne fought the studio, who kept pushing him to make the husband distant or cruel to give Connie a reason. He refused. A woman with a perfectly fine life walking into something she can't explain, because what she needs is not explainable by her life. That's what Lyne thought was interesting about her. Helena Rain did a version of this 20 years later. She's talked openly about Baby Girl being less a film about an affair than a film about a woman learning to love herself, with the affair as the vehicle. The marriage isn't broken. Romy has a good life. The film doesn't care. The whole architecture is designed so that the affair is about Romy meeting Romy, and her husband is just the static the film has to cut through to get her there. Try something. Take Unfaithful and flip the genders. Richard Gere's character is the one who meets the dreamy stranger. He comes home glowing and burns the evidence. He finally learns to love himself. Diane Lane is the comfortable spouse the film is working around. Does that version get made? Does it win at Cannes? Or does it quietly become the story of a selfish husband blowing up his family? I'll confess something. I watched Bridges in Madison County 10 years ago, and I cried when Francesca stayed. I thought it was the most romantic ending I'd ever seen. The way she keeps the love inside her for the rest of her life and never tells him. I didn't think about Richard once, the husband. The one who kept showing up to farm dinners and loving his kids, and not knowing the woman he shared a bed with had given her entire internal life to someone else for the last 40 years. He never knew. The film doesn't ask us to think about him. It asks us to grieve what Francesca sacrificed. None of this is a claim that women's stories shouldn't be told this way, or that feminine desire in cinema is a bad thing. What we're talking about is what's absent. We have an entire romantic genre built around a woman's cheating as liberation, and basically no equivalent genre built around a man's. He gets put into comedies where he's the fool, or thrillers where he's the antagonist. He rarely gets the candlelit rain scene, or the close-up on his face where he realizes he's alive again. All 5 of the patterns we've talked about get applied unevenly. A husband cheats in these films, and he needs a reason, and a moral ledger to justify it. A wife cheats, and the ledger quietly disappears. And we watched this for 50 50 years. George Gerbner, who studied what repeated exposure to television does to how people understand reality, argued that we absorb the patterns across all the stories. If one film said cheating on a loving husband was a path to becoming yourself, that would be art. When 40 films say it across 5 decades and pitch it as the romantic canon, that becomes a long, quiet education in what a marriage is. In whose pain inside is it ever allowed to matter? So the next time you find yourself rooting for the affair, it's worth asking what the film had to do to get you there. Hollywood has spent 50 years teaching us that the most romantic move a character can make is the one that breaks somebody. If we want different films, we probably have to start wanting different things from them. And that might be realism, which we've lost over the years. Don't know what I'm talking about? Click here to find out.